Hey everyone, Julian here. I'm back with a big request from you guys. You've been asking for this for a while. I'm going to be showing you how to make Blame the Mono style hard rave techno. As usual, you can get this full template, the samples, the MIDI, the presets, and the project file all at the top of the description on my website. Definitely don't miss out. It's a really great template for techno. It'll take your tracks to the next level and really give you a solid foundation to build on. Link is at the top of the description. Thanks for the support, guys. And let's dive in. Alright, so we're at 147 BPM. I'm noticing tracks getting faster these days, up to like 150 even. So I think this is a really good tempo to start at. And the first thing we have is the kick. Now, this is a rumble kick, but with a bit of finesse to really get that like proper texture. So we got this kick. That's our punch, right? And then we have this rumble here. Now, there's actually a different kick making the rumble. That's the first thing I noticed. Is that usually you would have the same kick to make your rumble with, but this kick just tended to sound. So I went with that. And then we got this amp. Right? We're low passing it. I have it being side chained to this side chain up here. Just like a little muted click. And then just a high pass at the end to get rid of any of that sub that we're not really hearing that can mess up the master. Now, the thing on this kick, so first of all, it's a rumble, but there's no like reverb or delay or anything. So you get this really full, just like boom, boom, like really powerful, steady rumble. The other thing is on the group. I haven't done this in a while, but I'm pretty sure these guys use Ableton and they're using a bit of drum bus. Because when I heard their tracks, and I really listened to those kicks, man, it just sounds so much like when you put a drum bus on the group of a kick and a rumble. So I went ahead and did that here. So I'll show you, like, here's without this stuff. Still a good rumble, but with. See, it's just giving you that, like, extra, like, sort of pop on top of the kick almost. Which is, again, just coming from drum bus. We've got it on medium, pretty heavy. Transients up a little. Still only blending it at 30%, but as you can see, that's all you need. I think if you do it all the way, it starts to lose a bit of definition. We've also got this EQ here, cutting at 20 hertz to get rid of the sub stuff that you don't really hear, that would mess up, like your mastering and all that. And then we have this hi-hat. So yeah, it's just a nice, fat 909 hi-hat. We have a ride as well, which is like a really nice bright ride, so it sits well with the hi-hat. Because one's very bright and one's very much in the mid-range. We just have a little EQ on that. We got this Rave loop, which is actually pretty important for the overall groove. Like if I played the drums without that, it's definitely pretty good. But see, you just throw in that rave loop with like the perfect groove to it, and it really brings that together. And it's adding a lot of texture too. So that's just being sidechained a little, because sometimes, see, it does have some heavy transients. So sometimes you want to sidechain that and just get it under control so it's not in the way of the kick. And then we have it being high pass. And then the last drum here is this clap, which is really just sound selection. It's just like a very punchy, almost like a snare, kind of like a distorted hard clap. It's not like a little 909 or an 808. You really want this just, it's that groove where it's boom, tsh, boom, tsh. So yeah, then we have the main lead kind of Reese Hoover thing. Now here's the MIDI. You can see it's actually pretty simple. Like it's really only 4 notes, and it's this kind of like evil hard techno scale I've talked about quite a bit on here, where you kind of have like, it's like 2 notes that are semitone apart, a whole tone, and then 2 more notes that are a semitone apart. And see, those voices just are very like, it'll just give you that feel, and it kind of gives you like a call and response too, because you can bounce between this and that and kind of like use it as like a call and response, right? So that's what we have. The other thing here is you notice none of the notes are touching each other, and that makes a big difference. So it kind of becomes too like static if you don't have that. So I just made everything a little shorter, and now you get that dun 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 dun. So for the actual sound, this is 3 layers, and what it is like you just need a lot of different things that are doing some movement, and then they're gonna come together and create this whole big like morphing sort of bass. So the first layer here is this wavetable. So what this is, it's a saw wave and then another saw wave. One of them has these like modern warp modes, and we're using the warp and the fold. You can see inside of the matrix, yeah, there is an LFO, separate LFOs, but an LFO on each of those. So that's moving around on its own. Right, but then there's also this second oscillator, which is a saw wave with some movement on the sync and also on the pulse width. And then you put those together, you get this like crazy movement. We've also got a bandpass filter with some drive, and that's got an LFO on it as well. So again, just a ton of movement, and then the last thing we have here is some unison. Not too much, because when you start to layer these together and you got like all the full voices of unison, it can be messy. So just a little bit of unison. Then the second layer is actually the same patch, but what I did is I changed some of the modulation a little bit, and also it's a low pass filter and there's no unison. And this is a good technique because when you have that big unison bass, you can lose the like fatness, right? So, or it can become fat in a different way, but it won't have that like kind of like home bass to it, you know what I mean? So you can just duplicate the patch, change it a little bit, and then make it no unison, and then when you put them together, you kind of get like the best of both worlds, right? And then the last layer here is analog. And it's like this crazy detuned rave sound, right? Just 2 saw waves, one's an octave down, super detuned, and then a bandpass filter with a little LFO on it. And that's just adding that extra bit of like kind of mid-range and actually like definition to it, because these are both very low. And then all of a sudden you add this in, and you can like really hear the riff a little bit cleaner. And it just provides that last bit of fullness to the sound. So then after all 3 of those layers, we've got a little bit of reverb, right? Not that much. Like it's a really short reverb too, because obviously if you have too much and it's like, you don't really want that, right? So it's just like the short reverb. We got a bit of EQ, which is cutting out some mud. So here's without this. And with it, you can see it kind of like cleans this up a little bit and just makes it fit a bit better too. Because like without that, if we play this with the rumble kick, you can hear some clashing. But then if I turn it on, it helps focus it. Then we got a bit of overdrive, not that much still, only 23%, but a very heavy amount of drive. Drum bus, which is the same deal, just being blended, but here's without both of those. See, the sound is already good without the distortion, like it's already almost there. But then you add that, fills the whole thing out. We have a little bit of delay, just a tiny bit to give it some space. We're side chaining this. And then we have a high pass filter at the end. And then the last layer down here is this little vocal. So what this is it's like this vocal just chopped into very tight little pieces. And then we're just kind of using effects on that to bring it to the next level. Like here's completely dry. So it's kind of a cool melody already because it's like this like dissonant notes. And that's the thing about this. It's not just about the effects. Like, you have to put a cool vocal sample in to get this to sound cool. That's already doing something interesting. But then we have a little low pass on it. We're delaying it, right, on eighth note. So you got like a da 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 da. Then we distort it. And that's really where the low pass comes in. If I turn off the low pass, see, you get some like too much sizzle. But if you low pass it before the overdrive, you still get the high end. It's just not so intense. And then just a high pass at the end to make sure there's no low end. That'll clash with other stuff. And there you go. So that's going to be it for this one, guys. I hope you enjoyed. As always, make sure to like this video as well as subscribe. And let me know what you think of this video in the comments. Like I said in the beginning, you can get this full project file, samples, MIDI, presets, everything from this video is available at the top of the description on my website. Definitely don't miss out, guys. It's a really, really great template. I promise you'll make the best techno track of your life with this template. You know, there's a lot of really solid stuff in here to learn from and build your own tracks out of and really make some of the best music you've ever made. That's really the goal of this project, is to create amazing templates that everybody has access to, that we can all learn from and make the best music of our lives. So, support the mission. Click the link at the top of the description. Thank you so much for the support, everybody, and I'll see you tomorrow with another video.